Good morning everybody. In today's class I am going to discuss with you pollination, which is one of the segment of second topic, sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So in this segment I am going to discuss with you certain aspects related with the pollination. First of all, we will discuss the definition of pollination, then we will discuss the kinds of pollination, and also we will discuss the agents of pollination. First of all, the definition of pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of a pistil is called pollination. One more time I will repeat. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of a flower is called the pollination. I will explain with the simple diagram also. Here we are going to draw a diagram of a flower. This is the gynosphere and this one is thalamus. These are the stamens which are the anthers. So whenever the anther get matured, it rupture and release the pollen grains. And when these released pollen grains fall on the stigmatic surface of a pistil, that process is called the pollination. Is it clear? The anther release the pollen grains, and when these released pollen grains falls on the stigmatic surface of the gynosphere or pistil, that process is called the pollination. In pollination there are three types. One is autogamy, another one is hypnogamy, and next one is xenogamy. So what is autogamy? Autogamy we may also call the self-pollination. We may also call the self-pollination. Means the anther and stigma both are belonging to the same flower. The transfer of pollen grains from the anthers to the stigma we call the pollination. When this pollination takes place between the anther and stigma of a same flower, then it is called the autogamy. Here pollen grains and stigmatic surface both are from the same flower, and such process is called the autogamy, or we may also call the self-pollination. But for the flowers which show the autogamy should show synchrony in the release of pollen grains and the receptivity of the stigma. Means when the pollen grains are releasing, at the same time stigma should be ready position to receive the pollen grains. Otherwise what happens? Pollen grains are releasing and they are falling on the stigmatic surface, but when the stigma is not ready position to receive these pollen grains, that pollen grains are going to be useless or they are becoming waste. So that's why the autogamy expressing flower should show synchrony in the release of pollen grains and stigmatic receptivity. And one more condition is these anthers and stigma should place very close to each other. They should place very close to each other, then only there is a possibility of self-pollination. There are some plants. I may give the example Viola, Oxalis and Commelina. These are the some plants which show two types of flowers. These plants show the two types of flowers. What are those two types of flowers? These plants show the two types of flowers. Types of flowers. One is casmogamous flowers. Casmogamous flowers. And second one is clistogamous flowers. Clistogamous flowers. In some plants like Viola, Oxalis and Commelina, there are two types of flowers are there. casmogamous flowers, another type clistogamous flowers. Now let us see the meaning of these two words. Casmogamous flowers means the flowers which have the exposed anthers and stigma. Means these flowers are open as usual other flowers. Or we have the exposed anther and stigma having flowers are called the casmogamous flowers. But then what is the meaning of clistogamous flowers? Clistogamous flowers never open. These flowers never open. The flowers never open means anther and stigmatic surface are always closed by the petals or within the flowers. They are never exposed. They are always within the flowers. Such flowers are called the clistogamous flowers. These clistogamous flowers have the compulsory autogamy because there is no chance of falling off pollen grains of different flowers because the stigmatic surface is never come out of the flower. And these flowers always show the autogamous and there is a assured seed set. They show the assured seed set. It means most of the flowers will become successful in pollination. We also have certain things that is the clistogamy, whether it is an advantage or disadvantage. There is a question which comes in our mind whether clistogamy is advantageous or disadvantageous. What is the advantage? First of all, we will discuss that. Advantage means, in advantage sense we may say, there is no need of pollinators. No need of pollinators. Because pollination in most of the flowers, pollinators are required. Pollinators means the agents or media which help for the pollination. Such pollinators are not necessary in clistogamous flowers. This is one benefit or advantage. Without the help of any pollinators, there is pollination. This is one advantage. Second advantage is assured seed set. Assured seed set. Means almost all flowers will have the pollination and will get the seeds. So this is the second advantage of clistogamous flowers. Then what is disadvantage? Disadvantage is the one where in all generation the self-pollination is common or compulsory. And continuous self-pollination may lead to the inbreeding depression that we are going to discuss in our next topics. And inbreeding depression in one word I may say, decreasing the productivity. Whenever the plants reduce their productivity, that we also call the inbreeding depression. That condition may appear in these flowers. And one more thing is, there is no genetic variation in these offsprings. Suddenly if any adverse conditions appears in the environment or sudden change occurs in the environment, these plants are not in the position to face that condition. So these 2 points we may say disadvantage of the clistogamous. Whether clistogamy is advantage or disadvantage, we also have the advantage and we also have the disadvantage. Next, we are going to discuss about the second type of pollination, that is hypnogamy. Second type is hypnogamy. First of all, a definition. Hypnogamy means it's a transfer of pollen grains of the anther of a one flower to the stigma of an anther flower belonging to the same plant. So here we must notice that the pollination takes place between two flowers. But these two flowers are belonging to the same plant. In autogamy, what we have studied? Both anther and stigma are belonging same flower. But in case of diploidogamy, anther is belonging to one flower and stigma is belonging to the another flower. But flowers are, both these flowers are belonging from a same plant. So the definition of diploidogamy is transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of another flower of a same plant. I may give the explanation with a simple diagram. This is the plant. Here is one flower. Here is another flower. Both are belonging to the same plant. But anther or release the pollen grains, and these released pollen grains fall on the stigmatic surface of this flower. Here pollination takes place between the two flowers of the same plant. Single plant which produces two flowers. When the pollination takes place between the two flowers of the same plant, that we call the diploidogamy. We also describe diploidogamy as Diploidogamy is functionally cross-pollination. It's functionally cross-pollination, but genetically self-pollination. Genetically self-pollination. Diploidogamy is described as it's a functionally cross-pollination but genetically self-pollination. Meaning is functionally because it involves two flowers. It looks like a cross-pollination only. But these two flowers have the same genetic makeup because they are belonging to the same plant. That's why it's functionally cross-pollination but genetically self-pollination. The next type is xenogamy. Next type of pollination is xenogamy. Definition of xenogamy is transfer of pollen grains of the anther to the stigma of the another flower belonging to the another plant. Means here both flowers are belonging to different plants of a same species. Flower species is same, but flowers are belonging to different plants. For example, here is one plant and here is another plant. Both are belong to the same species. When pollen grains of this flower falling on the stigmatic surface of this flower. Here not only flowers are two, even plants are also two. Means two plants are involving in the pollination. So that's why xenogamy is said to be not only functionally cross-pollination, even genetically is also cross-pollination because genetic makeup of this plant is different from this plant. Here two different flowers belonging to different plants are involving in the pollination. Such pollination is called the xenogamy. Now we move to the next segment, that is agents of pollination. The second aspect of this pollination is agents of pollination or pollinators. Agents of pollination, or we may also call the pollinators. Agents of pollination or pollinators are those which help for the pollination. The agents which help for the pollination are called the agents of pollination. We may group into two categories. One is In pollinators or agents of pollination, again there are two types. One is biotic agents and the one is abiotic agents. Biotic agents are most of the animals, insects or come in this group. In abiotic agents again there are two types. One is wind and another one is water. Wind and water which help for the pollination or for the abiotic agents. Let us see these pollinating agents, how they are helpful and what are the characters, the flowers which show these type of agents. First of all, we will discuss the abiotic agents. Abiotic agents. One is wind and the other one is water. Most of the plants show the wind among abiotic pollinators. Compared to the water pollination, wind pollination is most common among the abiotic pollinating agents. In abiotic pollinating agents process or mechanism, it's a matter of chance process. Means pollen grains may fall on the stigmatic surface or may not be. To compensate this loss, plants have to produce enormous number of pollen grains compared to the number of oils. Now let us see the characters of wind pollinating flowers. Wind pollinating flowers. The flowers which have wind pollination, they show certain characters for the successful of pollination. The first character is the flowers do not show any bright color. Flowers are not bright color. No need of bright color because colors are necessary to attract the insects. But here the pollination is by wind, so that's why flowers should not show any colors or there is no necessity of any bright colors. Second one is no nectar. Flowers are not having nectar. Nectar is also necessary to attract the insect, but there is also not necessary of this nectar. And next one is third character. Pollen grains are light and non-sticky. Pollen grains are light and non-sticky. Because they can be easily carried away by the wind. The fourth character is well-exposed stamens. Well-exposed stamens. Stamens are well-exposed. So, pollen grains can easily disperse by the winds. Stigma is large and feathery. Large, feathery stigma. Stigma is large, feathery, so easily can trap the pollen grains carried along with the wind. And each ovary usually have single ovule. Single ovule in ovary. In ovary there is usually single ovule. The flowers are very small and they are clustered or grouped in the form of inflorescence. So these are some of the very important character of wind pollinating flowers. One more time I will repeat the character of wind pollinating flowers. Flowers do not show any bright color. Flowers do large feathery stigma, single oval in each ovary, and flowers are very small and they are clustered in the form of inflorescence. Example, corn and corn cobs. Next is the pollination by water. Let us discuss about the water as a pollinating agent or water pollination. Pollination by water. Pollination by water. It's not so common as the wind or insect. There are only 30 genera. But most of the monocotyledons show the water pollination. In the previous class we have discussed or we have studied that most of the primitive plants like algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, water is the media to transfer the male gamete towards the female gamete. For the complete the life cycle of these plants, water is necessary. We also say that the presence of pteridophytes and bryophytes is limited because of the water. Because water is not present everywhere. That's why we may not see these bryophytes and pteridophytes everywhere. Some of the plants which show the water pollination, one is Vallisneria and Hydrilla, which are fresh water forms. There are sea grasses, marine sea grasses like Jostel, which also show the water pollination. Let us discuss how water pollination takes place in the Vallisneria. Vallisneria is a submerged plant. Whenever they get mature, the female flower comes surface of the water with the help of a long stalk, ribbon-like stalk. This is the water surface and this is the soil where the Vallisneria is present. A female flower will come in the surface of the water or upper surface of the water and it gets completely mature with the help of a long stalk-like structure. At the same time, whenever the pollen grains are released from the other plant, will come passively by the help of water currents and they eventually reach the stigmatic surface and the flower will get pollinated. This is the type or a process of pollination which takes place in Vallisneria. But in case of Jostera, the plant is submerged. And pollen grains are released in the water. May come very close to or near the stigmatic surface of the Jostel. And here these pollen grains are long, ribbon-like, and the surface is protected by mucilaginous coat, and these ribbon-like pollen grains when reach the stigmatic surface, the flower get pollinated. And another important character of water pollinating flowers, like wind pollinating flowers, these flowers are also not showing bright color and nectar. Now let us move to the next segment, that is insect pollination or biotic factors or biotic agents for the pollination. Pollination by animals. Pollination by animals. There are different types of animals are involving in the pollination. Some of the examples I am going to give you: bees, butterflies, flies, beetles, wasps, ants, moths, birds, especially sunbirds and hummingbirds are involving in the pollination, and bats are the common pollinating agents. Among the animals, insects are the most dominant, the animals which are helping in the pollination. Even large animals such as primates like lemurs and arboreal rodents, or even reptiles like gecko lizard and garden lizards are also helping in the pollination. Like wind pollinating flowers, insect pollinating flowers also have the certain characters. The characters of insect pollinating flowers. So insect pollinating flowers have the bright color and they also have the nectar. These are very important feature because to attract the insect. Flowers have the bright color. Flowers are bright color, and they have the nectar. Flowers have nectar. Flowers have the nectar. If the flowers are very small, they are clustered in the form of inflorescence. Next, the flowers also show the fragrance, the scent or perfume or fragrance to attract the insects. And the flowers which are pollinating by some flies, such flowers will show the foul odor. They will express the foul odors. They secrete the foul odors to attract the flies. To sustain these insect pollinators, flowers will provide the certain rewards, and these rewards are in the form of pollen grains and nectar. Some flowers will also provide position or place to lay the eggs. Some flowers will also provide the place to the insects to lay their eggs. Example, Amorphophallus and the Eucarpy. Amorphophallus and some insects and some of the species like Yucca plant, moth and Yucca plant. Their life cycle is not going to be complete without each other, because moth is going to lay its eggs in the ovary and flower in turn is pollinated. When the flowers starts giving the seeds, these larvae are coming out of the eggs. So without each other they are not going to complete their life cycle. So here I am going to conclude the segment pollination, kinds of pollination and also agents of pollination. Thank you.